This is a diagram of Reptilia's reference to animal diversity. The tree shows an evolutionary interrelations of a group of organisms. Snakes, which fall a part of Reptilia, are part of the animal group called Chordata. The division of Reptilia and Chordata classification. The subgroup Reptilia falls a part of the Chordata among many other subgroups of organism, and this diagram depicts this. This is the classification of the organism which I'll be dealing with. Its kingdom is Animalia, its phyla is Chordata, its class is Reptilia, its family is Serpentines, its order is Elapidae, and its genus is Naja. I will be looking at snakes which fall a part of Reptilia, but specifically looking at the Cape cobra. The Cape cobra, its scientific name is Naja nevia. Its color is usually golden yellow to an almost black color. It's identified by its particularly aggressive defensive posture. It reaches an average length of 1.2 meters, but can reach 2 meters. Continued on the Cape cobra. Species distribution is restricted to the Western Cape, Eastern Cape, Northern Cape, Free State, and Namibia. It primarily habitats in dry sandy areas. Its longevity can reach to almost 15 years. The diagram on the left-hand side shows you where the Cape cobra is found in Africa. Predators of the Cape cobra. Predators include such as the meerkat or mongooses, honey badgers, or birds of prey such as the secretary bird. The Cape cobra prey on antivenom. The prey is mostly rodents, but also preys on birds or lizards. It has the most powerful cobra venom in Africa. Its antivenom, which is required in large amounts, is very effective. It is bilaterally symmetrical, which means its left and right halves are mirror images of one another, and this is indicated by the diagram on the right-hand side. Cephalization. They show cephalization. They have an anterior or head and an opposite end, posterior end. The dorsal surface is the top, and the lower surface is the ventral surface. This is a diagram of a cephalization in a snake. Tissue layers develop from the embryo. Cells from the embryo organize themselves into 3 layers of cells. The third layer of cells is called the mesoderm and is formed between the ectoderm and endoderm. The diagram below shows a triploblastic organism, which a snake or reptile is, which is shown below. The cells of the mesodermal origin can become a thick mass and make up the bulk of the body of the reptile, and this is indicated on the far right-hand side of the diagram, which represents a triploblastic organism in a reptile. Openings in the gut. There's a mouth at one end of the body taking in the food, and at the other end of the body there's the anus for the food exiting the body. The gut is like a tube with 2 openings at each end. This is a diagram of the through gut in a snake. Coelom and blood system. Since the Cape cobras are triploblastic, it means the coelom is present. The coelom divides the mesoderm into 2 layers, the outer mesoderm and the inner mesoderm, and the coelom is represented in the diagram below. The outer mesoderm makes up the muscles of the body, the inner mesoderm makes up the muscles around the gut, which causes peristalsis, which is muscular contractions that moves food in the gut. Reproduction. Snakes reproduce sexually. Fertilization occurs internally within the female. The male deposits sperm into the female to fertilize the egg. The female deposits the egg into special locations for protection and for moist soil, but some incubate embryos and have live births. This is an example of a snake protecting its eggs. Snake locomotion. Snakes use various forms of locomotion depending on their body plan, e.g. the Cape cobra moves by attaching their belly scales to rough surfaces and pulling itself forward. This is known as the serpentine locomotion, indicated in the diagram below. Role of a Cape cobra in the ecosystem. The Cape cobra are predators and feed on a variety of creatures. The removal of the Cape cobra from the ecosystem would impact on the health of the ecosystem. E.g. the removal of the Cape cobra would result in an overpopulation of rodents such as the Dussie in the Western Cape biome. The Cape cobra controls rodent populations in particular and other species in respective biomes. Predators such as the secretary birds would not have a dependable food source if the cobra was removed from the ecosystem. The dead secretary bird would become more common if the Cape cobra was removed in the ecosystem, as the Cape cobra is a dependable food source. Cape cobra conservation in the wild. Reason for the Cape cobra to be conserved in the wild is because a lot of other species are dependent on the Cape cobra, and the Cape cobra controls populations of rodents, as I said in previous slides.